What's the best bourbon in the world? Let's find out. Welcome to Average Joe's Whiskey. My name is Joe. Today I am blinding two bourbons that I will likely never own. Two bourbons that just might be on the short list of the best bourbons in the world. I'm talking about King of Kentucky and Michter's 20. Now, being that both of these bottles have a combined value of something like $5,000, I have a sample of each, and I'm gonna go ahead and get these into a glass. All right, so King of Kentucky, obviously Brown-Forman. Michter's 20 actually began contract distilling at Brown-Forman just over 20 years ago. So this being the 2024 Michter's 20, this should be almost entirely, if not entirely, Brown-Forman juice. So King of Kentucky is, I believe, the early times mash bill, which is something like 79% corn, 11% rye, and 10% malted barley. Michter's mash bill is undisclosed, but thought to be somewhat similar to that early times recipe. The Michter's is, however, barreled at 103 proof. So the final proof of the Michter's 20 comes in at 114.2, obviously 20 years old. And the King of Kentucky comes in at 128.7 proof, since it's barreled at 125. This King of Kentucky is also a 2024 release, comes from Warehouse J, and it is something like 16 and a half years old. Let's buckle our seatbelts. This is going to be amazing. And I will try not to be overly dramatic and drool all over myself. At the end of the day, it's just whiskey. There's good bourbon, there's bad bourbon. I mean, how good can bourbon really get? I guess we're about to find out. All right, let's mix these up real quick. All right, let's see how they do. All right, I don't know which one this is, but I have a feeling it's gonna be amazing. Oh my God, that's a nose for you. I mean, oak, obviously. Really nice, soft oak. It's got a grape note, like a candied grape, dark fruit, and then your vanilla, your caramel, all the classic bourbon notes are in there. All right, it's nose glass 2 here. Now glass 2, I have to say, might be a little bit lighter on the nose, but it does absolutely smell amazing. As a matter of fact, if I didn't just nose glass number 1, this would be blowing my mind as well. This is a little more confectionery. I'm getting oak again, obviously, but this is more like vanilla, bananas Foster. It just smells like an amazing dessert. All right, enough talk. Let's try glass number 1. Oh man, the nose is giving me a lot of fruit, more than I would expect for such an old bourbon. There's like orange and little tobacco, little leather. It might be easier to try and list notes that are not in here instead of everything that I'm getting on the nose. Like, it's just crazy. All right, let's try glass number 1. I am not timing the finish, but this is like the first time. It's got to be a good 15-20 seconds after I've swallowed, and the taste is just still in my mouth, as strong as the moment that it landed there. I mean, it's dissipating a little bit, but it's still going. Wow. Glass number 1, really good. All right, let's try it one more time. Yeah, this is not like an obviously Brown-Forman nose. Glass number 2 smells a little bit more like a Brown-Forman product that you'd be familiar with. All right, glass number 1 again. I mean, I don't know what more you want. It's got everything that I mentioned on the nose comes through on the palate. Mouthfeel is like whole milk. It is just super thick. Finish goes on and on, basically forever. The one thing that I'll mention that might not be a positive for everybody, there is a little bit of a bitter oak note that comes through mainly on the finish, a little bit on the back of the palate as well. I mean, obviously both of these are super old, so it's not crazy that you might be getting a little bit of bitter oak, but I mean, it's not ruining the experience for me at all, but just a little bit of a bitter oak note on glass number 1. All right, glass number 2. Oh man, the nose on glass number 2 has opened up. There is nothing subtle about it now. I'm gonna stick to, you know, the confectionery notes, the oak, the vanilla, bananas Foster. There's a little bit of fruit in there too though. Not as much as in glass number 1, but there is like a sweet maraschino cherry. Not as dark as glass number 1, but a little bit of fruit. All right, let's try glass number 2 here. That's amazing. I had to look down for a minute to make sure I still had balls. I mean, similar to glass number 1 in that everything you get on the nose, you get on the palate. Let's do that again. I mean, the mouthfeel on glass number 2 is excellent as well. I'm getting some honey. I'm getting that maraschino cherry that I mentioned, bananas Foster. I will say that there is roughly like a 13-point proof difference between these two. And you would never know it just by drinking these. I mean, they both drink very low proof. Like there is 0 burn in either one of these. All right, back to glass number 1. I mean, it's just so good. It is ridiculously sweet. It's like drinking maple syrup out of a bottle. I mean, have you ever tried a dessert that is just like so amazingly sweet and rich that your stomach kind of hurts just thinking about it? That's kind of what these are like. Like, even though there's no sugar in here, it feels like I'm drinking the sweetest thing I've ever had touch my lips. Like, it's almost so good to the point where I can't even finish it. All right. Back to glass number 2. Yeah, glass number 2 has some fruity citrus notes that kind of creep out as you get a little bit deeper into the glass. Both of these are awesome. I want to say that glass number 1 has a little bit more complexity. It's got more notes. It's got more layers to it. But it's also got that little bit of a bitter note. Like a little bit of that oak astringency that kind of leaves a little bit of a bitter note on your tongue. I didn't get as much of it on my last sip as I did on the first 2, but honestly, between both glasses, that's the only thing that could even be perceived as a flaw. Otherwise, they're both absolutely amazing. But like I said, glass number 1, a little bit more complex. Glass number 2 doesn't quite have the same amount of complexity. I mean, it still has a ton of complexity, just not quite as much as glass number 1. Honestly, I don't know that one of these is much better than the other. I mean, if I had to pick a winner, I guess I would lean towards glass number 2 just because it doesn't have any flaws that I can identify, and this just has that little bit of bitter oak. But at the same time, the bitter oak is not bothering me. Let's try one more. Man. Yeah, so now I'm not even really getting the bitter oak until well into the finish. I have a feeling that glass number 1 might be the Michter's just because the bitter oak, I'm guessing it's older than glass number 2. But you never know. Some barrels pick up bitter oak characters at younger ages than others. I mean, even so, I wouldn't say that it's over oaked. Like maybe 19 might be the perfect amount of time for the Michter's. Maybe 20 was just a touch too long. But a Michter's 19 doesn't sound as good, does it? All right, glass number 2 again. I just love it so much. I mean, plenty of complexity. It's like an explosion in my mouth. Oh, God. I mean, these are so evenly matched. I've never done this before, but I'm gonna declare a winner after I find out what they are, because I think in this case, there's such a huge price difference between these bottles that it kind of makes sense to choose the cheaper one as the winner. I mean, all other things equal, I would probably say that glass number 1 is the winner by a hair. But if glass number 1 is the Michter's 20 with a retail price of like $1,200 or $1,500, I forget what it is, and secondary price of like $3,000 and up, compared to a King of Kentucky, which is like, I think MSRP for the King of Kentucky is like $350. Not that you'll ever find one at that price, but still MSRP at $350, and then secondary is like $1,600, $1,800, maybe $2,000. So if we're saying price is not an issue, I would declare glass number 1 the winner by a nose. And if glass number 1 is the King of Kentucky, then awesome, then all around winner. But if glass number 1 is the Michter's 20, then I think glass number 2 should be the winner. I think I made this way too complicated. All right, let's find out what they are. Yep, glass number 1, Michter's 20. Glass number 2, King of Kentucky. So being that they're so close, I have to give the win to the less expensive bottle, which is still like $1,800. But man, well, that was fun. This is probably the most ridiculous blind I'll ever do, but seriously, both of these are amazing. If you told me that either one of these is the best bourbon in the world, I am not gonna argue with you, not even for a second. But anyway, hope this was fun. Hope you learned something. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.